Hi guys, it's Miss Lindsay. Hope you guys are having a great Friday. I miss you and I am going to read you a story today. Today our story is called Fancy Nancy Apples Galore. And there's Fancy Nancy and she has a bunch of apples. Here we go, by Fancy Nancy Apples Galore by Jane O'Connor. Parents, if your kids are taking online AR tests right now, this is AR quiz number 162809. Again, that's AR quiz number 162809. Fancy Nancy Apples Galore by Jane O'Connor. I adore autumn. Autumn is a fancy word for fall. The air is so crisp. The foliage is so colorful. Foliage means leaves on the trees. Like here we have in the picture, you can see there's some leaves on the trees. Ooh la la! Today our class is going on a trip. We're going apple picking. There they are in their school bus getting ready to go on a field trip. I hope we pick Gala apples. My dad likes them best. I tell Lionel. He is my trip buddy. A gala is a fancy party. So Gala apples must be fancy. Lionel does not answer. He covers his mouth and gags. Is he car sick? Miss Glass shouts, "Stop the bus!" Then Lionel laughs and says, "It was just a joke." Miss Glass reprimands Lionel. That is fancy for scolding. She often has to reprimand Lionel. At last we arrive at the orchard. An orchard is a garden of trees. Each tree is loaded with apples. There are apples galore. Galore is just a fancy word that means a whole bunch of apples. Everyone gets a basket. Remember, do not climb on branches, Miss Glass says. There are lots of apples near the ground. There they are, all getting off the bus, picking their apples. I pick lots of apples. Lionel juggles apples. He is an expert juggler. All of a sudden, he stops. Wonder what's going on with him. He drops the apples and runs around in a circle. Ow, ow, bees are stinging me. Miss Glass dashes over. That means she hurries to us. Lionel laughs and says, "I was just joking." That is not a funny joke, Miss Glass tells him. She reprimands Lionel some more. Now Lionel's going to get in trouble, isn't he? After that, Lionel behaves himself. We pick lots of apples. Apples galore. We pick Jonathan apples. We pick Honeycrisp apples. We do not find a tree with Gala apples. Let's look over there, Lionel says, and he dashes off. I don't think we should go so far away, but trip buddies must stay together. So I dash after Lionel. Voila! Here are Gala apple trees. There is one problem. The apples are on high branches. Oh no, what do you think they're going to do? What might happen if they climb up in the tree? Think about that for just a second and let's read and see what happens. A ladder is by another tree, but Lionel will not help me get it. He starts climbing up the tree. Miss Glass told us not to, I remind him. Does Lionel listen? If you said no, you were right. Up, up he climbs. Lionel is way out on a branch. There are so many apples. Gala apples galore. Lionel shakes the branch. The apples do not drop. He crawls out further. Be careful, I say. There's a cracking sound. Oh no, what do you think is going to happen? Is the branch breaking? Help, help, Lionel yells. Help, help, I yell too. Kids nearby look over and laugh. They think it's a joke. Miss Glass does not hear us. She is too far away. Can you jump, Lionel? I ask. It's too far down, he says. Then I remember the ladder. I dash over and drag it back. It is so heavy. I perspire a lot. That's a fancy word for sweat. Miss Glass is at the tree now. She sees that this is no joke. Together we stand up the ladder. Lionel climbs down to safety. Crack! The branch breaks. Down come the Miss Glass is very mad at Lionel. He cannot go on the hayride. He cannot help make applesauce. On the ride back, I say, "Thank you for the Gala apples. I saved some applesauce for Lionel." He slurps it down and burps. What a goofball. Then we each eat a Gala apple. They do not look fancy, but they are very tasty. That's a fancy word for yummy. There are plenty left for Dad. Gala apples galore. The end. And some of the fancy words that we had in this story are autumn, which is a fancy word for fall, dash, which is a fancy word for run fast or hurry, foliage, which is a fancy word for leaves on the trees, gala, which is a fancy party and a kind of apple, galore is a fancy word for meaning that you have a lot of something, an orchard is a fancy word for a garden of trees, perspire is a fancy word for sweat, reprimand is a fancy word for scold, tasty is a fancy word for yummy. I hope you enjoyed today's story. Have a great night.